Let's say we do 42-year-old male. Okay. And I'll just use my date of birth, 12/17/80. Okay, write it down in case you guys want to get me gifts in December. And then let's say net income, okay, is, let's say, just for simple income, let's say it's 10 grand a month. Let's say overhead, okay, is 5K. So that means expendable income per month is 5,000. Okay. Married, wife stays home, okay, homemaker for 20 years. And we've got 5 children total, okay, 4 that are minors. Okay. Insurance, she's got a term policy. Let's say she's got a 2.5 million term, and the male has, let's say, 3.5 million term. Okay. We've got an old 401k with about 23,000 in it. He does. And she's got an old 401k with about 170,000 in it. Okay. In their bank, in their savings, let's say we've got 30,000 in savings. Our mortgage, which is included, okay, in the actual overhead, but the mortgage, let's say it's 2,900, and I've got 29 years left. Let's say we just recently bought it. Okay. Now I want to retire at about 65, and I want to do about 10K in retirement income. Okay. What category of questions am I missing? What haven't we covered? You guys can keep yourself unmuted. Today's going to be more of like a workshop. Okay, so 40-year-old, I'll do yours too next, Karen. Just, you see all the stuff that I'm putting?
Yeah, I'm putting it in the chat right now. I'm just slow.
Okay, add to it. Okay, good. What other category am I missing? Debt? No, not necessarily. You can put that there though. Yeah.
Health?
Health. Yes, the health questions. Okay. So what do we ask for health?
Is he a non-smoker, smoker?
Smoker, right? Height, weight. What else?
If their parents are still alive?
Parents are still alive. Okay. That's for the application more, but you could ask that because that might open up a door to any type of hereditary things. No, both of my dads, my dad and my mom passed away at X, right? Okay, what did they pass away from? Oh, heart disease and cancer. Ooh, bing, bing, bing. That's a question that's going to get asked, right? So
Prescriptions.
meds, there you go. Now take it a deeper level though. Do you have any medications that have been prescribed to you that you don't take? Okay, that's another one, because a lot of times people will say, no, I don't have any medications, but they've been prescribed a bunch, so they're just not taking them. Okay. I actually ask heart disease, cancer, diabetes. Okay. When somebody says yes to diabetes, okay, what usually comes along with diabetes?
Insulin.
Blood pressure.
High cholesterol?
Blood pressure and cholesterol. Yep. They're like they're two homies. They always come along. When diabetes is there, he brings us two homies, blood pressure and cholesterol, right? And based on what type, the questions I always ask, do you take insulin, right? No. Do you take your A1C? Yes. When was the last time you took your A1C? Okay. Now, by the way, guys, just so we're clear, you guys have access to this document on our Google Drive. Okay. So when you come here, go to Agent Documents, Certified Agent Toolkit, FA Assessment Form. By the way, I'm actually going to retool this a little bit, but all you got to do is fill this out. It's real simple. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is I'm getting a lot of people that are like, hey, I got somebody who's interested in learning about an IUL. Can you do a financial seminar, right? For duplicatable purposes, if you can, the first step would be for you to just do a financial needs analysis call with them. So what does that mean? So we get on the phone and I say, hey, Matthew, man, I appreciate you reaching out. First off, let me explain to you what I do, okay? So I'm a retirement strategist, and what we do is we focus on creating tax-free retirement for people and also protect your assets. Now, I don't know what you have, and so this first phone call is more exploratory in nature, right? I just want to learn about you, what you're playing with, what you're working with, what your goals are and things of that nature. But I've got a document that I'm going to work through, okay? Once I fill out this document, probably within about 2 days, we're going to come back and I'm going to educate you on some strategies and some things that I think might work for you, if that's okay. Sure. Okay, so let me just read this to you. So the purpose of this document is to help your retirement strategist, me, create a generic profile about your current financial situation. Now, Matthew, while I don't need any sensitive information, account numbers, personal data, you giving me as much information as possible will help me to create a real roadmap and strategy for a real and prosperous retirement, okay? Okay, cool. So, Matthew, what's your last name, date of birth, spouse's name, date of birth, right? City, county, email address. What do you do for a living? How long have you been there? What about your spouse? Okay, then we go to 401ks. Do you have your contribution? Yeah, what's your percentage? Oh, it's 5%. Do you get a match? Yeah, it's also up to 5%. Now, do you know what that 5% looks like on a dollar amount? No. Okay, so what I do is I highlight that when I'm taking notes. Okay, I'll write dollar amount for 401k question mark and I'll highlight it because he doesn't know that. So we have to get that information from him, right? So we go through all this. We say, okay, any 403bs, TSAs, no. 457s, no. Okay, cool. IRAs, whether they traditional or Roth. Yeah, I've got a Roth. Always ask, are you currently contributing? Okay. Do you know if it's variable? Right? CDs, savings, investments, annuities, and pensions. Now, combined monthly net income. Okay, write that down. Fixed overhead costs. Now, before you tell me what your overhead costs are, and this is very important, guys. When you ask, if you allow them to tell you what their overhead cost is without qualifying it, you're going to get a very inflated number. So our job, sometimes, I was just on a call like right before we got on with one of Carla's people. And I told her, look, my job sometimes is like doing the smelling salt, right? Like, let me wake you up and tell you what the reality of your situation is, right? When I asked her, hey, what's retirement look like? She was like, oh, so when my son turns 18, I'm going to buy an RV and I'm going to drive and I'm going to go live by the, she like went off about everything she was going to do in retirement, right? Zero savings, 42 years old. She expected to accomplish all of this in 13 years, okay? She has $600 a month disposable income. So I said, look, you knew exactly, like vividly what your retirement looked like, but you had literally no clue how to get there. My job is to share with you what it's going to take. It might not always be the best information though, right? Ultimately, I can't make magic happen. You only got $500 a month to play with, and we're not going to ask you to put all that there. So we can only give her a smaller amount as far as a quote into an IUL, and that wasn't going to accomplish what she wanted. So the reason I say this is because you're going to run into somebody right here. Let's say they have 10,000 here, right? I don't think you're right. So let's say they put 10,000 here. And then you say, so what's your overhead cost? And they come back and like, like I'd say like 92. You mean to tell me you have $800 to play with? And you're 40, but you want to retire at 50. And you know what I mean? Like the numbers aren't adding up. So let me qualify this. So what consists of, or what constitutes fixed overhead costs? We're talking about mortgage, right? Or rent, cars, utilities. Fortunately, not groceries, gas, travel ball for your son, all these. Now you might say, well, those are my expenses. They are, but they're not fixed expenses. Those are expenses that you are deciding to take on. right? You mean I'm deciding to take on food? You are if you're going out to eat 4 or 5 times a month, right? There's other ways to eat without spending this much money. Now, why do we want to separate that? Because sometimes our job is to show them that they do actually have money, but they need to decide what's more important, their quality of life right now or their quality of life later, right? So it's very important that you ask that question, right? Now, rent and mortgage, when it's mortgage, even though the cost is tied into here, the mortgage is X, but I included that there. I like to ask these questions because the term is what I need to know. Somebody who's 42 years old and they just bought a brand new house, they're going to be paying on that till they're in their 70s. So I have to factor that into the amount of money he's going to need in retirement, right? Or he's not going to be able to retire. So if I say, well, how much is the term? Oh, like 10 years. Perfect. Because by the time you retire, the house will be paid off, right? So any questions on any of this stuff, guys? Pretty good? All right. So
Mario,
Yes, ma'am.
can you just resend the, I could not find access to the Google Drive.
Can somebody put the link in Discord? Actually, no, don't do that yet because not everybody's been launched yet. Just text me on the side and I'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
You guys know why I don't give that away to everybody? Okay. I wait until people are contracted and launched to get access to this, because let's say somebody comes in with us and they're not fully committed to being part of the family here, and they just come, they take all our PowerPoints, all our documents, and then they bounce somewhere else, right? So when somebody's contracted, they get access to the goods, right? All right, so now let's go over to F&G. So let's start putting this thing together, right? So right out of the gate, the example I gave, let me just go over it again. 42-year-old male, married 20 years, 5 children, 4 of them are minors, okay? Insurance coverage, the wife has 2.5 million, husband has 3.5, okay? Even though they have little ones, do they have insurance need? No. That's like 2 to 5 million. If they passed away together, there'd be like $6 million in death benefit coming to those kids, right? If mom passed, it'd be 2.5 million, right? Dad's the breadwinner, so still be more than enough money. And then if dad passed, it'd be 3.5 million coming to the family, right? So you don't need money. I mean, you don't need term coverage here. However, what if the exact same scenario, there was no coverage, right? So that would be, for me, what would be the key word? Stack, right? Yep, a stack. I'm not trying to make money on that term, even though we do get paid. I'm trying to get as much insurance coverage as possible, because his 2 younger boys, shoot, his three is I'm just using me as an example. I have an 11, a 9, and a 6-year-old. If I were to pass away with no insurance coverage, they're going to need a ton of money to grow up, right? So my idea would be, okay, stack, boom. I would literally write that, stack, on my notes, right? When I hear stack, it's the most amount of insurance for the least amount of money. Okay.
Yep. I feel like that's one of those things where people are always like, oh, I have to get 30-year term. And it's like, no, if you're getting an IUL, you don't need a 30-year term. You need a 10-year term so you can build it up, get through some of that tough time. And then now if all you're buying is term, then that's a different world.
Right. Do you guys hear what she means on that? So over time, the cash value and the death benefit build up in the IUL. So meaning, let's get you some 10 to 20-year coverage with big death benefit, so that in those first 10 to 20 years of the IUL, while the IUL is a little weaker, you're covered and your kids are younger.
Now I understand stack. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then what happens is when the kids are of age and now you turn and you're like, oh, my IUL's pretty stout now, that falls off. Does that make sense?
This is why I always get mad that somebody didn't tell me about an IUL when I was 25. Because I definitely, like, looking back, it's fine now. I'm fine now, but it just irritates me.
Like, I've gotten over it.
I'm over it, but why didn't I meet you 20 years ago? Like,
yeah. All right. So that's good. Now we also have 10K net income. $5,000 overhead cost fixed, which means we have $5,000 expendable. And then we got two old 401ks. Talk to me about those. He has one that's 23 grand. She has one that's 170. What comes to your mind there?
Now, when you say an old one, that means one that's no longer being
Roll it.
contributed to.
Yeah, basically, not necessarily, because sometimes they have 401ks with their current employer and they're just not contributing anymore. But old 401k, the better term to use is what we call abandoned 401ks. Okay. So essentially, he and her must have been at a job for a certain amount of time and were feeding a 401k and left that job for whatever reason. Fired, laid off, found a better job, it doesn't matter. You leave. And when you leave jobs, you are actually able and allowed to move that. A lot of people just move the old 401k in with the new one at their new job and just keep on moving, right? Well, I would say let's not do that, right? Let's move that into an FIA, fixed index annuity, okay, a qualified FIA, so that it can grow. But again, now I'm writing a stack. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put annuity right here because we got to go through those options. Okay, good. 30,000 in savings. Possible lump sum into the IUL. Why? Well, if I have $30,000 in a savings account, I would ask them down the road, okay? I would ask them down the road, yeah, there's tons of orphaned or abandoned 401ks, Karen, it's insane. So I would ask them, so, sir, what's the purpose of that 30,000, right? Hold on, somebody's got me unmuted. I don't know who it is. If I catch you, right? Okay. So it was Rachel. Come on. It's okay. I was just getting some feedback. Actually, I'm gonna unmute you, unmute yourself, and then you mute me. That way, if you want to unmute, I don't have to do it. You can do it on your own. So the idea here is ask this person, why the 30 grand in savings? What's the point of that? Most people are gonna be like, well, I mean, it's my savings account. Like I just put money away to pay myself for savings. Okay, cool. So not like you're not saving for anything, one specific thing. No, my mind, I'm going to draw up an illustration and I'm going to show him what 25,000 or even 20 looks like in a lump. Why? Because that's going to just grow the accumulation value. Well, but what about my savings? What about it? We'll leave 5,000 there. Why would I need 5,000 in savings? If you ever needed $5,000 immediately, like right now, drive to the bank and get it. The rest of that 25 is a 48-hour wire away by going through your IUL and pulling it out. So you still have complete liquidity, right? But you don't have instant liquidity, you have 48-hour liquidity, right? And if you're willing to do that, we can grow that money significantly better than where it's at now, right? So that would be another thing I'm thinking, okay, lump sum. All right. So here we'll throw this in. The man is a smoker. Because wouldn't y'all know, I smoke a cigar every now and again. So you're gonna do 6 foot, 203. Both of my parents are still alive. No meds. Okay. Not even prescribed that I don't take. Okay. Anything else you think I'm missing here?
Do you pay extra to your mortgage?
No. That's good one. Yeah. But no, I don't. Okay.
Do you
Anything
make
else?
money based on overtime?
No.
I mean, that's not you, I know, but I mean, like, that would be a question because I
Tell
know
me
people.
why. Why would you ask that?
Well, I would ask it because if it's not guaranteed income, like if they're not going to actually work 50-hour weeks, sometimes although most of the people I know that work overtime, that it basically is their schedule. They work 50 and 60-hour weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying in general that sometimes you can't get that. And maybe we need to go based on what they're making.
That's good. That's good. So you're kind of qualifying that net income just like we do with the overhead to make sure you're getting to the real numbers.
Well, I don't want to overwhelm them either because you start saying numbers and they know what they're supposed to bring home. They have already added in what they regularly try to bring home based on overtime. But if you give them some kind of number based on their overtime take home pay, that could scare them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, good stuff. All right, so check this out. So let's get into it here. So what we're going to do, guys, is I'm going to teach you how to properly put together an illustration. Okay, so first thing we want to do is you go to illustrations, click OK. And it's going to bring you to iGo. A massive amount of companies use iGo as their Illustrator tool. So once you learn one, you'll kind of know them all. So we're going to put Ron Burgundy, okay? 12/17/1980, okay? And male IUL, okay? So if you know Ron, he lives in where? Where does Ron Burgundy live, y'all? Let's see if there's any.
San Diego.
San Diego.
You stay classy.
All right, so Pathsetter is the one that you want to use. So we come up here to the Illustrator tool. Now they've done some really cool things to it. So for the most part, okay, let's put here R Burgundy 10@gmail.com. I don't know why, but if you select California, you have to put their email address. Okay. So first things first, let me ask you guys a question. Do you put this policy on the wife or the husband?
The wife,
Why?
just because it's likely to be less expensive for the insurance aspect of it.
Did you hear that, y'all? Karen, you must have been trained pretty damn good. What did
I
you
do
hear?
prefer the F&G IUL. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like their
Yeah, that's pretty good because the wife's probably going to be younger and the
Yeah.
non-smoker, she's going to get rated better.
So here's the rule of thumb, okay? And it's actually a good way to kind of get a good laugh or a giggle, but it's absolutely true. So I always say to people, guys, unless you're talking to a couple and the wife is older, right? Or you know she's like less healthy, right? For the most part, if you see the wife is younger, or even if they're the same age, okay? Or even the same age, give or take, right? Here's what I always say, guys. So listen, insurance costs for younger males are really cheap. Okay, why? Because they never go to the doctor, right? And then as the men get older, okay, their insurance is way more expensive. Do you know why? No, why? Well, because they never went to the damn doctor their whole life, so they're falling apart when they're older, right? Women, on the other hand, were always in the doctors when they were younger because they're having babies and follow-up checks and doing all the stuff. So when they're older, typically women, cost of insurance is cheaper because they're being held together better because they were there proactively for so many years. So yes, the female, okay, is probably the one that I would write the policy. Okay. So here, okay, I'm gonna say what was Ron's wife's name? Christina Applegate, what was her name?
Veronica Corningstone.
Veronica. Well, they got married, so now it's Veronica. Okay. And Veronica is 9/29/1981. Okay. So
She's
now,
a female.
now we're doing female. Now we're doing non-tobacco. Okay. I always do, let's see what they got here. So the different ratings, right? Standard rating tobacco, preferred rating tobacco, rated preferred non-tobacco, right? I just always leave it here, which is pretty standard, Okay, standard, see, this is standard tobacco, express standard, just leave it at non-tobacco. Okay, just like that's basically standard. Now, the idea is like, I happen to know Veronica, okay? She's really good health. So when they run this thing, it'll just get better for the client, right? They'll come back and say, hey, we rated her at preferred and cost of insurance is cheaper, more money is going to be able to go to the actual accumulation. So for the most part, you don't really have to do anything else between face amount and premium unless you're doing none. When you select none, you have to put these in. But if you're doing max accumulation, target, or any of the other ones, okay? So remember, the first thing we're going to do is I always say I want to establish the floor and I want to establish the ceiling, okay? So we're going to establish the floor. When you think about max accumulation, guys, what does that mean? Max accumulation means that the accumulation portion of this premium payment is going to be maximized. So if the if the portion that's accumulation is maximized, that means the insurance is what? Very small. So max accumulation is the level best for the client and the worst for the agent, okay? We're just wanting to see, that's what I call the ground floor. Conversely, the other side of that equation is the most amount of insurance. Who wins in that? The agent. The least amount of accumulation, who loses there? The client. So we're going to establish the floor, we're going to establish the ceiling, and then we're going to go right down the middle and lean a little bit more towards the client winning no matter what. So their accumulation is good, and you can actually make some income as well to eat, right? So Veronica and her husband said that they wanted to pay monthly, and they're comfortable doing $1,000 a month, okay? So let's think about this. So we say that you want to put 10 to 20% of your expendable income into your retirement strategy. If they had $5,000 over, are they putting more than 10 to 20%? $5,000 expendable income, and they're putting 1,000, right? What would be 10%? 500, right? So they're putting about 20%. That's good. So that's a good price point according to what they have here, okay? So now we're just going to click OK, and you'll see it change. Did you see it change to 12,000 annually? Okay. We're going to come here, and how long do we want to put this in? He said he wanted to retire at age, so we put A, 65. You could also put year and then put his age, right? So here we're just going to do age 65, and that's it. All you got to do. Click OK. Because we selected max accumulation, we set up $1,000 a month till age 65. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do option B to A, okay? And we're going to switch this at age 65. What does that mean? That means that the death benefit is going to increase while he's putting the money in. The accumulation phase of the IUL. Then, when he stops putting the money in at 65, they're going to level the death benefit, okay? So it just helps with accumulation and growth. So do I have to do anything else? No, all of this stays the same. The only other thing that I would tell you is right now, ride Barclays all day and all night, okay? Couple of reasons why. It has 145% participation. Who feels confident telling me what 145% participation is? I know you know, Karen. I'm actually very happy that you know that and that you're so fired up. Does anybody else want to take a shot at 145% participation?
Is that
Go for
how
it.
much
Go
is
for it.
being put in the index, or?
No. What about you?
Is that 145% to the dollar? So like $145 to $100?
Not kind of, but not. Okay, so 145% participation is this. Let me tell you this. Let's say the index said 100%. That means whatever the growth is in a given year, you get to participate in 100% of the growth. So if Barclays, it was at 100% participation, and next year it grew up 10%, you would get credited the full 10% because you get to participate in 100% of the growth. What if it was at 145% next year and it grew 10%? How much would that person be able to participate in?
14.5, right?
Right. So that's 145% of 10%, right? So they would get credited an extra 4.5 points. But just like any good TV salesperson would say, but wait, there's more, right? So there's also a 1% bonus. So they just earned 14.5% plus an additional 1% bonus on top. So if the market produces at 10%, they're going to earn 5.5% more. And there's no cap. So if it was 20%, right, they'd participate at 145% of 20 with a 1% bonus, right? Plus that 1% bonus does one other thing. In a down market, let's say everybody lost. He doesn't get 0. Veronica's going to get 1% because it's a 1% bonus. Does that make sense? Guys, this is unheard of. And it's actually accumulating. The illustration rate right now is 6.62.
Sounds too good to be true.
Yeah. Pretty awesome, right? Okay. So we're just trying to establish the floor right now, okay? So let's go ahead and run the illustration. All right. So what it gave was 460,000. Okay, 460,000. Can you guys see it okay or no? Okay, so it gave 460,000. So I'm going to write that down. Okay, so 460,000 is the minimum death benefit needed because he's putting in $1,000 a month. Okay, so what I write down is just a couple things. 460K. I also write 1,000 a month, and then I always go and I write down the actual target. So the actual target for this policy would be $56.93. That's how much we would make, right? And then the other thing that I look at is this. So what I was always taught, guys, is you look at the 10-year mark. The 10-year mark is where you figure out if this is a good accumulation for the client. The goal is, does the accumulation get bigger than the amount of money put in, the premium, at the 10-year mark, right? So look at this. At 10 years, he put in 120, or she did. The account value is 132. Why is that? Because there's small death benefit, more money going towards accumulation. What would happen if there was a higher death benefit? Less money would go to accumulation. So your goal, okay, actually it's 12,000. So if I deducted 12,000 from here, right? See, because 10 years I put in 120 is 132. The accumulation grew, okay, larger than the premium at 9 years. That's good. Anywhere from 8 to 12. The closer you get to 8, you're making way less money, but they're making way more growth. The closer you get to 12, you're making way more money, they're getting less growth. I don't ever really want you guys to do that, okay? This is your business to run. I don't ever feel comfortable. If I don't see at least accumulation larger here than here at 10 years, I go back to the drawing board, okay? So that said, let's go back, and now we're going to establish the ceiling. Can you guys still see the screen okay? So all we have to do is set up target face. So this is I wish they had one that just said target, but it gives you target face and income. So now basically what this means is you're building this, okay, for the actual, so we're going to select level for the target. So build this for me so that the agent makes the most amount of money. So specified level, $1,000 a month, 800, at age 65 is when they stop, okay? And here, because it's just the option that they give us, it shows an income. But that is pointless to this example, okay? We're not even caring about that right now. Okay, so click OK. Scroll back up and we're gonna run the illustration. All right, so first off, look at the death benefit. Significant difference, right? The ground floor was 460. Now it's 970. That's the roof, right? The ceiling. Still $1,000 a month. Okay. Now let's go down and see the target. Y'all ready for this? Probably going to be ridiculous. Yep, 12 grand. $12,000 target. Okay, pretty bananas. But let's go look and see where the accumulation is. Look at this. At year 10, the accumulation is 106. He's put in 120. Right? At year 11, so what's this would be 132, right? 120 versus plus 12, they're at 124. So what's 132 plus 12 is what, another 144, right? So it's pretty much caught it around 12. Guys, this is a bad deal for your client. Okay, so you don't do this. So now I know, okay, what the ranges are. So somebody grab your phone and just do 970,000 plus 460,000 equals, and then divide it by 2. Tell me what that number is.
$715,000.
What is it?
715.
715,000. Okay, thank you. So 715. So now what we're going to do is we're going to manually put this in. So look at, guys, we just established the ground floor, the roof, the dead center. I'm going to draw that up for you, but I don't ever stay dead center. What do? Is I find the dead center, run it, then I run it again a little bit more leaning this way. Because I still want to have my client the one winning here. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's go and do this. Now I'm going to mark none because I'm going to manually put this stuff in. So what did we just say it was, Matt? 715? Okay.
Yep.
B to A, still the same, 65. Okay. Scroll down, monthly, specified level, $1,000 a month. Okay. Still at Barclays, no loan or withdrawal options. Okay. Everything looks decent. Let's check it out. Can y'all see it okay? So 715. Let's go down first off and see the target. 88.37, that ain't bad, right? Now let's go back to 10 years. 119, accumulation is 119, and we're at 120. So what does this tell us? What do we need to do to make our client win?
Take it down to like 600,000 or something like that.
Take what down?
The initial phase.
The death benefit, right? The face amount. Perfect. If you drop the face, accumulation comes up. Okay? Increase the face, accumulation comes down. So we're just about there. Let's go back to the drawing board one more time. I said I want to find dead center, which we did, which was 715, and we want to lean a little left. So let's do this. What was the target? Our 88 commission, right? 8,800. Let's drop it to 6. Run it again. Is this beneficial, guys?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Guys, this is how you go and you build something significant for people, okay? And this is also how you protect your illustrations. Because can you imagine if somebody built an illustration that's like closer to target? And I'm like, hey, client, oh, I already have an IUL. Is it accumulating like they said? No. Yeah, probably because it's not built right. What do you mean? Your agent probably built it for him, not you. Would you mind if I look at it? And I steal IULs from people all the time. Just did one the other night. This is how I ensure mine never gets stolen from me. So, little less, but is that still not a pretty damn healthy commission? Yeah, that's a great commission. That's more than most people make a whole month. Okay? Look at that. 120, 125. This is legit. Now, what do I do here? So I'm good here. I'm like, I like this. This is what I want. My client's eating, right? At the 20-year mark, they put in 240. Holy crap, 410. So you put them in a position so their accumulation goes bananas, right? At retirement, got 596,000. 1.1, almost $1.2 million death benefit. This is a solid IUL, okay? But we said, what if they didn't have any term coverage? So we drew this up on Veronica. So if Veronica dies, okay, Ron has some pretty good death benefit coverage, right? Starting out at 600,000 plus, he's the breadwinner. We said she's a stay-at-home mom, right? So if Ron died, okay, then that would be kind of tough for her, wouldn't you think? Okay, so let's stack and show you how we do that. Because we want to make sure that there's coverage on both sides. So come over here and we use AIG. Guys, I'll tell you, AIG term is bananas, okay? If you're using it right. There's a lot of people who use term. This is still down. Has anybody been on AIG? It was down yesterday, last night. Shouldn't be.
I
thought
was
it
able to get on because I
Yeah,
had to look up.
there we go. There's a lot of people who use AIG term, or excuse me, term policies to make money. Like a lot of money because they overcharge. We don't do that. It's not one of our like prime time products. For us, it's a supplemental product. So we're going to go here to AIG. Can you guys see the screen okay? Almost done. All right. Build up the illustration. Pretty simple, actually. Term flex. QOL stands for quality of life. Any of the QOL products have living benefits. So the term with AIG has living benefits. So that's awesome. So Ron Burgundy, male, 12/17/1980, Ferd Plus, California, solve for. Let's do $1 million at 20 years, right? So she's covered for 20 years. Going to pay monthly. That's it. Let's check, look. This is how you stack. $65 a month, covered $1 million for 20 years. Okay, it's bananas, guys. So their all in out of pocket is what? Is
1,065.
yeah, 1,065, and they're covered. I didn't even illustrate a lump sum.